Smile though your heart is aching. Ooh. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. And if you smile through your fears and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through. For you light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey you guys, my name is Jared Axen, and as I tell my patients, every morning I go in, I am your singing nurse. I don't know if it's my statement or the morphine that gives me the look that follows that, but probably both. It makes the singing probably sound better too. I obviously wasn't always a nurse. I was born without scrubs, and I do wear other things besides this on a regular basis, but I used to be a musician, and I probably shouldn't say I used to be. I used to pursue it professionally. Actually, 10 years ago, almost to the month, I was in Europe. I was singing in Wales and London. I was filling cathedrals with amazing music of a language that I didn't even understand. It felt incredible. I was touring. I was 16 and 17 years old, and I was across the pond, as they would say, in a completely different country, belting my heart out, doing exactly what I love. Same exact thing I actually do in the shower. Different audience, but I have two dreams, two major dreams. One is to pursue music. I love music. Music is me. I am music. This is how this works. The other one is to I want to be a husband and I want to be a daddy. And I felt in order for me to be able to pursue my dream of being able to support a family responsibly, I felt that I would probably have to cut down on my pursuit of a career in music. Just looking at my buddies who had tried to make it before and just fallen short, I kind of let that get to me, and you know that wears you down a little bit. I had pursued several degrees actually in college. I have 2 degrees in nursing and 1 in music, and I ended up while I was pursuing my music degree, I ended up pursuing a degree in nursing at the same time, and so that way I could thank you to the recommendation of my mom. Hi, Mom. He says I could do a shout out. So, 1, right? 1, Chris? Okay. Dad, I love you too. Because of their advice, I went into the nursing field. It was something where I could work usually 3 days a week, and I would be able to pursue music more as a hobby, and they helped me to be able to realize that. Well, again, music is me, I'm music, so I really don't shut up. If I'm walking around passing medications or anything like that, I'm still singing, I'm still humming, I'm still doing all that. So it kind of became an interesting thing. I got my head on right, I screwed my head on right, I made sure I was pursuing the nursing degree. I got my nursing degree, I'm out there passing meds as a registered nurse, I'm proud, I'm making money. Only other thing I had to do after that was find a wife and make babies. My father-in-law is actually in the audience. Been married 10 months, so woo, okay. Next shout out, I love you, Kelly. I'm passing meds, I'm doing all that stuff, I'm doing exactly what nurses are supposed to do, and it's a very task-oriented job, it's crazy. And as a registered nurse, I have this opportunity to work with people. It's an opportunity and a privilege to work with people in a very vulnerable state. We'll talk about what I do in just a moment. But what I'm able to do with music is that because I'm always singing, when I'm passing my meds and things like that, I just start humming, just start singing, and I don't even realize it. I just open up my mouth and stuff's coming out. Not the same stuff that's coming out of their mouth. It's a little bit different. And I notice patients and family members, they start poking their heads out of the doors, and they're like, hey, you know, Grandma's not doing too well. Come here. Do you know Amazing Grace? I'm like, yeah. So, you know, you start singing with them. Or, you know, when I first started nursing, I was on a unit that had a lot of hospice patients. People who are, the focus of care isn't so much prolonging life, it's more making the last few days or the last few hours that they have the most fulfilling that it can be, the most meaningful. And I found music, for me, was a very incredible way and fulfilling way to be able to bond with a patient. You could help them make that transition from life into the next one. And I ended up developing a small fan base. People would come to the hospital, and they would ask for usually one of a couple things. Where's that singing guy? And everybody in the ER doesn't know who I am at the moment. Where's that singing guy? It's like, oh, I don't know. Or they ask for the blonde white guy because I'm one of 3 in the hospital. So usually they found me that way. So I did that for years. And my primary specialty now is I actually work with stroke patients. So I work with people who have just maybe even a couple hours ago were walking, talking, eating dinner with their family, dancing, you know, with the girlfriend, doing something, and all of a sudden change in status, they can't walk anymore. They can't express their fears anymore with their family. They're laying right there, and they sometimes can't even hold their own urine. Not to be too real with you, but it's a very scary thing, and these people can't even express what's happening. And it's something. It's easy to get into this drone mode in the hospital setting, where your mind is so busy with what you're doing. You come in there, hi, Mr. Smith, my name is Jared, I'm going to be your nurse today. Hey, let me tell you about these medications. Let me tell you what's going on with you. Let me tell you what's wrong with you. Because now you're not Mr. Jones anymore. You're not Mr. Smith anymore. You're now a stroke patient. You're a number. And we don't mean to treat people like that. But it's very easy to get into that. I learned something. Can the cameras come down here if I sit? Hey, Mr. Smith. You know, I know you can't really talk to me, and I'm going to talk to you like I think that you might be able to understand me. And if you can or can't, that's okay. I'm going to talk to you anyways, because you're a human being. You deserve that. Mr. Jones, I know you're going through a scary point in your life right now. And you know, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in just a moment, but I want to know, this may seem like something that you don't expect in the hospital setting, but I want to know if I can do something with you. I'm going to hold your hand, and I'm going to sing to you Amazing Grace, if that's okay. Is that okay with you? It's amazing you bond with somebody. You're no longer the nurse anymore. You're no longer the face of the medical field anymore. You're that friend that they need for that moment. You're that communication that they don't have. There's a woman who I had the privilege of having as a patient. I could say her name because she's on YouTube, and she ended up filming me. She always had us call her Grandma Isla. A sweet old lady, and she had a diagnosis where we knew that we would probably see her a few months later, and a few months after that, and probably would never see her again. And I went to Grandma Isla's bedside, and she was a much older woman. And I spoke, the family had asked me to come in and sing with her. They had heard that I sing with my patients. So I sang with her, and I said, hey, Grandma Isla, how you doing? And she talks to me, and we just talked. We didn't even, no medical stuff, just talked. And that's something that's easy to forget that people sometimes just need, is just to be talked to and listened to as a human being. And she told me her story, and she told me how she'd been married for, I don't know, it wasn't 70-something years, but it was a very long time. And her husband had recently passed, and told me about the wedding dance that they had had and things like that. And, you know, and I ended up singing to her the song Time After Time, the old song. And that ended up being her husband and her favorite song. She had asked if she can record it and put it up on YouTube. I had never been on YouTube before. I am not a computer literate person. I can figure out this phone, okay? But like if I need to, tweet something, I had to be taught by my 3rd and 4th graders in Sunday school, the kids I teach. Be like, I'm going to teach you guys about the, David and Goliath. Can somebody tell me how to unlock this first? So here Grandma Isla is asking me if she can put this up on YouTube, and she did. My family emails me a few months later. She says she's back in the hospital. She has some requests this time. I'm like, oh, fun. So I go and sing with her again. And then 3rd email, same thing. I get a couple more in there. Got to know her a little bit better. I get a 4th email later that year. Hey, Jared, Grandma Isla was at home. She was in hospice, and she passed. And I just want to let you know that while she was passing, she was listening to that first song you had recorded. That was her and her husband's song, Time After Time. I said, I'm so sorry. I gave my condolences to the family, and I had asked if I could possibly just sing at her funeral for her. Well, until then, this was always a private thing. This was always something I just did with the patients. Get a call from NBC Nightly News, CBS, The Doctor Show. It ended up making a skit on the Jay Leno Show, GMA Live. I have dark circles under my eyes normally, but now getting up early for some of these things just added to the chevrons. But it's been very exciting. I kind of figured out that over the years now of doing this, that I've had to learn a bigger message. My singing was for the individual. It wasn't just for the masses, but it's for the individual. But the story of why I do what I do can inspire so many more people than just the person I'm talking with who's laying in a bed wondering what's going to happen next with their life. The reason why I sing with my patients is perspective. I love it. You guys some of the speakers have been talking today about smiling. I got to remember to do that so I'm not terrified. I saw there was a bar over there, and my father-in-law was like, hey, you think we can get that open? That might help you. So, anyways, yeah, you guys can open it if you want. We had some people talking about more or less perspective, having a positive perspective on things. There's something that I ask my patients when I sit down with them, especially because I'm working with stroke patients. It's very easy for somebody who's in a traumatic situation in their life, whether it's a stroke, whether it's bullying, whether it's cancer diagnosis. It doesn't have to be medical related. That's just more or less what's on my mind right now. But when you're diagnosed with something, it's easy to let that become a distraction. And I'll explain. I ask a lot of people, what is perspective? And usually my patients, if they can tell me, if they can talk, they'll say something like, well, it's how you see something. It's how you see something. And I'd say that's part A. The problem with that being complete is that if perspective is how you see something, then when you're a positive person, it's easy to say that you're just being ignorant to the negative side of something. You're just being ignorant. You're just shutting off the reality of a problem. So I have a second part of diagnosis. Again, getting into medical things. I'll call you all patients. Don't worry about it. Don't be offended. It just happens. There's a second part of that definition. Perspective is not just how you see something. Perspective is also how you choose to let something affect you and what you're going to choose to let affect you. So it's how you're going to let something affect you and what you're going to let something affect you. I'll give you an example. I was talking with a friend of mine. Her name is Colleen, and she runs a cancer foundation. She's a breast cancer survivor. And there's a reason why I say that. I remember when I just started nursing, I was green with all this, okay? I'm very new. And I said, Colleen, how long have you been a cancer victim? Anybody who knows somebody with cancer who's made it through or is making it through knows the sudden stop is that they're not a victim. She says, I'm a survivor. I'm a cancer survivor. And here's why. Because cancer does not define you. You may have cancer. It may control your life. It may take your life, but it does not control who you are. Every day that you have is a victory. I sing with my patients to remind them that they're not a stroke patient. They're not a cancer patient. They're not a diagnosis code. They're not a diagnosis. They are Mr. Jones. They are Mrs. Smith. My name is Jared Axen, and I am your singing nurse. You guys can follow me at www.yoursingingnurse.com if you want, or I'm on Twitter now. One of my Sunday school kids hooked it up. Your Singing Nurse. You guys, thank you.